The shoot breakdowns that I've posted on my YouTube channel so far have just been for video work that I've done. So with this photo shoot I did this week, I thought it'd be the perfect way to introduce a photo shoot breakdown. The photo shoot was for a very, very good friend of ours, and he just opened up a local bakery called Paul's Bakehouse. And I'm going to show you how I created these kind of images with just 2 lights. And of course it is a bakery, so it's less of the high-end, amazing, luxurious feel. We want it to make it feel more accessible to whoever's passing by saying, oh, that looks good, that looks great, let's go in there. Now don't get me wrong, this kind of setup can be done on a much more affordable budget, and that's a video I might make in the future, but for now let's very, very quickly run through this. So this is the actual bakery here, and this is the setup we've got going. And what I've used is my Manfrotto tripod here with the geared head on it up here. This was allowing me to turn my R5 portrait. And then what we have coming over here is my laptop, and we've got Capture One, so we can tether all of the images straight onto my laptop and choose whichever one's working and which one's not. You can get a quick glimpse of what we've been shooting today. Loads and loads of pastries, some sandwiches, some bread, some good stuff coming. But let's move around here. So what we have is one of my Broncolor Siros S lights. Let's see if this will be bright enough. There we go. This is an 800 watt head, and what it's doing is shining right through a roll of lead 216. Okay, pause for a sec. I just wanted to explain in a little bit more detail why I use a roll of lead 216 as diffusion. So effectively, the roll of lead 216 was acting as a scrim, and it was diffusing the light, giving me a better wraparound over the products, over the food that we were shooting. Now, I haven't edited these yet. These are just straight from what we were doing on the day. The first light I set up was the key light, and this key light was in the exact same position as the light you just saw was. And what I had on the light was a 150 centimeter Octobox by Broncolor, and this is the effect that I got. I mean, I'm not a big fan of this kind of catch light. Let me zoom out a tad. I'm not a big fan of this kind of catch light. Even though it's a really large source of light, it just wasn't giving me the effect that I wanted. So I ditched the Octobox, I set up the roll of 216, and it was working really nicely. So going from a look of this with the Octobox compared to this. Now this shot is ever slightly overexposed, that can be tweaked. I did go ahead and tweak it for the rest of the images, but yeah, you can see here there's a massive difference of the catch light, and it's just a lot nicer. The light wraps over the products a little bit better, and these images aren't edited at all. But let me quickly show you an overhead shot, because we were planning on doing something like this as well. Yeah, it's very faded. I need to retouch these properly, but you can see how there's really nice soft shadows. It's just very appealing to the eye, and it feels very nice. So moving back here, we have this tarp, and this is just mounted on a C-stand hanging over, and the reason we've got that was because we wanted to shoot with this Paul's Bakehouse logo in the background, and I don't know if you can see here, it's actually got like a reflective sheen off it, so we were getting reflections from this lead 216 roll in that there. So with this tarpaulin that I set up, I have it in my car at all times. It's always in my boot, so I lay it over the back of my seats when my seats are folded down, so my kit doesn't damage my car too much. And luckily I had it on this shoot because it helped out a bunch. So you can see the reflection I was getting from my roll of diff in the back of the Paul's Bakehouse neon light. Now I moved it around, it wasn't really working, and then I just knew I had to set up a flag, and that's the difference a flag can make. It goes from this to this and it's gone. And then what we also have is the last light that we were using. This is just another Siros head shining on the background. It's actually got a grid on it. Hopefully you can see this. There we go. It's got a grid on it, and that was just creating a bit of separation between the background and the products over there. With this second light that I've introduced, it's creating halo around the product, and you can see that in this image here. Well, the comparison of the images here, because you can see on the left side over this side of the screen, there's nothing really separating the product from the background, and it looks quite flat, it looks quite boring. Whereas on the right side, this little glow around the product creates some focus to the actual subject. you can see you're drawn into it because it feels like there's a glow around it, essentially like a halo. What you'll also notice in the left image is that there's a reflection in the neon sign. So because the neon light's actually mounted on an acrylic sheet, there's all the reflections that are coming in on the camera side of the set. So what you're actually seeing in this reflection is the windows. So because it's a bakery, obviously there's huge windows at the front and all the light from outside is spilling in. The way we got around that was by just getting a load of cardboard and flagging that off, just blocking the front door, blocking all of the light possible, and we got rid of it completely in this shot here. Lastly, let's walk over here. We have a simple reflector, just kicking a bit of light back in here. We have a man-made furniture chopping board, cheeky little plug, and we had the products, let's say an orange juice for now, on there like that. So we had the Paul's Bakehouse logo in the background. What we've done is propped up the table here with some of these trestles and some of these little baskets here. So when we shoot, we're kind of on level with Paul's Bakehouse neon light in the background. And what we had was some wood underneath the chopping board that I bought originally for another project, and I've actually used it on a lot of other things. So the reflector that was being used was effectively my third light, and the reason I didn't actually put in a third light was purely because we were moving the reflector in and out to get a little bit more fill on certain shots than others, where maybe the pastry or the bread was a little bit darker. So we were literally pushing the reflector closer in and putting it further out for the brighter products. So we didn't have to constantly faff with power output on an actual light. That's why I didn't use a third light setup. Plus, two lighting setups more than enough on this kind of shoot, and I feel like these images represent the bakery quite well, where it's going to be quite a fun and quirky place. But that's kind of it for this video. That's the breakdown of this photo shoot for a very simple and effective lighting setup. I've got a fair few projects coming up that I hope to make more of these kind of breakdowns for, so if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below, and peace.